Hey everyone, welcome back to TechKnowEdge. I'm really excited about today's video because this is where we stop talking about Claude Code and actually start using it. If you haven't watched the installations videos yet, links are in the description. In this episode, we are covering the commands, and honestly, even people who have been using Claude Code for months miss some of these. If you want to follow the full series, hit subscribe. We have got a lot more Claude Code coming in. Let's get into it. Now, before we jump into commands, let me quickly introduce the project we will be using throughout the entire series. And this is a rock, paper, scissors game written in Java 8 using Spring Boot 2 point something and Maven. It's a command line applications, no UI, no database, and just a terminal game. Now, why did I use this project? Two reasons. First, it's simple enough that you can understand what it does without being a Java expert. Second, and this is the most exciting part, over the course of this series, we will transform this project from Java 8 to Java 21, from Spring Boot 2 point something to Spring Boot 3.2, and so on, using Claude Code. And for those who have started your careers with Java 21 or newer, this matters to you too, because in large enterprises, you are going to encounter legacy systems everywhere. Alright, open your terminal and navigate to your project root. So the first thing I always do before starting any Claude session is run this. This gives you a quick overview of everything Claude Code can do from the command line. So Claude -dash help. Now, here is something important to know. This help output does not list every available flag. Not every capability is surfaced prominently in the help output. So don't assume that what you see here is everything. We will discover more throughout this series. Let me walk you through the flags you actually use day to day. First, choosing your model. You have two main options, Sonnet and Opus. Always launch Claude from the project root directory. I cannot repeat myself enough on this. Claude model Sonnet. Sonnet is your everyday model, fast, capable, and much cheaper on tokens. Use this for the most of the tasks. Oh, looks like it has no information on weather, so therefore let me ask something technical. Next, Claude -dash model Opus. Opus is the heavy hitter. More powerful, better for complex multi-step tasks, but it costs more tokens. If you are on Pro plan, use Opus economically. Save it for the hard problems. Next, session management. This one saves me a lot of time. Usually what happens, we work on Claude Code, shut our system, go back home, right? And then next day when we come, then we try to, okay, how do I open my older session? So you can use Claude-C and this will open your most recent conversation. So if you're working on something yesterday and you close your terminal, you don't lose the context. Just run Claude-C and you are back exactly where you left off. Now suppose you have multiple sessions, you are working on multiple projects, then you can use Claude-R, which will give you list of all the sessions what you have been working recently, and then you can pick one of from there. Now this is one important, always run this before starting any serious work. So Claude update, and the reason is Claude Code ships updates almost every week. There could be new features, there could be changes to the existing commands, existing concepts. So always run this at least once a week. Launch the Claude now. We are now inside an active session. The first thing you should always run when you start a new session is /help. This shows all available commands, including any custom commands you have created yourself, which we will cover later in the series. Think of this as your in-session cheat sheet. You see @ to directly refer to a file in Claude session. You can ask any question. Then you can see slash between to ask a side question. I'll show it later how it works. Now let's look at a few commands that are very important. So slash status, this shows you current session status, which model you are using, session ID, basic configuration, quick sanity check before you start working. Let's see what do we have in config. You can also come here directly by clicking type slash config. We can see auto compact is true, thinking mode is true, verbose output false, and so on. Another command is slash memory. This shows you which CLAUDE.md files has loaded at startup. Right now you will see it's minimal, or I think no Claude file loaded, because we haven't created any CLAUDE.md files yet. That changes in episode 2. So wait for it. We will write our own CLAUDE.md files and show you that which is used where. Now the next one. This is the command I want you to really pay attention to. Slash context. I'll cover it later in the video in detail. One thing you will notice very quickly. Claude does not blindly execute everything. If it wants to edit files, run shell commands, or do something potentially dangerous, it asks for confirmation first. And honestly, that's a very good thing. In real engineering environments, you do not want an AI agent silently executing commands against production systems. Human approval checkpoints are a huge part of why teams trust tools like Claude Code. So let's run slash plan. Plan mode changes how Claude operates. Instead of going ahead and editing your files immediately, Claude will first tell you exactly what it plans to do and wait for your approval before doing anything. You can change the settings in Mac by hitting Shift plus Tab. Now watch this. I'm going to ask Claude to do something to our project while in plan mode. See, it tells me what it would do step by step, but it doesn't touch a single file until I say go. On a legacy Java project that you have never worked on with Claude before, always start in plan mode. Trust me on this one. And honestly, this is also where normal engineering discipline still matters. It took so long to do some small work because we don't have any project specific CLAUDE.md file. You can also see the time taken and number of tokens consumed. Claude Code is powerful, but treat it like a very fast junior to mid-level engineer. Always review your Git diff, always commit frequently, okay, never merge a code which you never understand or you don't understand at all. And finally, two commands that people often confuse: slash clear and slash compact. So clear wipes out your entire conversation history. Claude starts fresh, no memory of what you discussed, but, and this is important, any file changes Claude made during the session, those remain. Only the conversation is cleared. I'm not running it. You also don't use it unless necessary. Compact is smarter. Instead of deleting everything, it compresses your conversation into a structured summary, and Claude keeps the thread of what you are working on. Use compact when your session is getting long, but you still see Claude to remember the context. And this is what we see is from official documentation. So use compact when you are working on a specific feature and running up against the context limit, but need to continue keeping the context relevant to your current feature is important. Use clear when you want to start a new feature. You don't want the previous conversation to introduce bias into something new. So for things you want Claude to remember across sessions, put them in your Claude.md file. So it doesn't have to rediscover things from scratch. Let's understand this in detail. One really important mindset shift when working with Claude Code is that you have to preserve the context intentionally. Your CLAUDE.md files, your compact summaries, and your continued sessions, that's what creates continuity over time. If you start a completely fresh session with no preserved context, Claude is effectively meeting your code base for the first time. And once you understand this, Command like compact and files like CLAUDE.md suddenly make a lot more sense to you. So what actually happens if you ignore all of this and just let the context fill up? Three things. First, Claude quietly gets worse. No warning, no error message, it just starts forgetting everything or earlier instructions and making mistakes it wouldn't have made at the start of the session. Second, when you hit the actual limit, Claude auto compacts automatically. It compresses your conversation history to free up space and keeps going. And third, and this is most important, your project root CLAUDE.md survives compaction and gets reloaded automatically. But what about your nested CLAUDE.md files in your subdirectories? Yeah, there are so many CLAUDE.md files. So those don't reload automatically until Claude reads a file in that directory again. Please note this. So moral of the story, don't wait for auto compaction to save you. Use /context to monitor, use /compact proactively and start fresh sessions for unrelated. Before we move on, I promised you that I will cover two more commands. That one is /review. So this /review we will cover in detail in our next series, where we will write our own code reviewer. Yes, our own code reviewer based on my requirement, based on the projects or the technology I use frequently. But Claude also provides you a code reviewer. It supports a code reviewer /review, and then when you do it, it will basically check for PR. I think currently, because we haven't made any change to this project, so there is nothing, but I will show you when I made some changes, and then it will ask it to review. Second command is /between. So between command, let's test this. So we will give first basically some work to Claude Code. Okay, let's ask to analyze this code repository. Okay, it has already started checking on it. Meanwhile, I got some question. Okay, so just side question. Let me check what is the latest Java version, and I'm checking it. Good. So it has basically also started working for me and a separate thread, or I don't know how it is doing it. But before you get your main question answer, you can still ask questions and get answers. Okay, moving forward. So this one I'm telling you, most of people don't know. And if you agree with me, then you subscribe the channel. Developers love it. So while you are inside a Claude session, you don't need to exit. Okay, and just run a shell command. Now it is difficult, right? But you can do it. You have to just prefix with exclamation mark. So if you want to suppose check what is your current directory, you simply say exclamation mark pwd or exclamation mark ls -la to just see the file directories. Or you can also check the git status. So Claude stays open, the command runs, output appears right there, and you carry on. No switching back and forth between Claude and your terminal. Interesting? Okay, let's move forward. Now let's talk about something that most Claude Code tutorials completely skip, the context window. And I think this is one of the most important things to understand if you want to use Claude Code effectively. If you want more such secrets, don't forget to subscribe this channel. So let's run /context again and really look at what it's telling us. /context, let me break down line by line. Okay, you will see a total token count at the top, something like 21.9k out of 600 tokens. That's your total budget of this session. Think of it like RAM. Claude can only hold much in its working memory at once. Just to remind you, this is Sonnet 4.6 version, so total context window is 1 million. Sonnet 4.5 had 200k. Now look at the breakdown. The first two categories, system prompt and system tools, these are fixed costs. Anthropic loads these automatically into every session. You cannot change them. They typically consume around 15 to 16,000 tokens just to get Claude Code working. And that's the price of entry. Then you have memory files, Claude.md files, right? We don't see that entry because we haven't built out yet. But every line in your project root CLAUDE.md gets loaded in full every single session. No cap, no exceptions. Unlike auto memory which has 200 line limit, Claude.md loads completely every time. So a bloated Claude.md is costing you tokens before you have typed a single word. And here is the subtle part. Claude treats it as a context, not hard rules. The more specific and concise your instructions, the more reliably Claude actually follows them. Okay, now a bit on MCP servers. So you have probably heard people say disable unused MCP servers because they consume context. That advice came from older versions of Claude Code where MCP tools schemas loaded fully at session startup and could consume tens of thousands of tokens immediately. But look at this line here, loaded on demand. In the current version, Claude only registers MCP tools names at startup. The full schemas load into context only when Claude actually needs to use these tools. That's the on demand behavior. Look, I have Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Drive connected. All three are showing zero tokens cost right now. They are registered. Claude knows they exist, but they haven't loaded into context because I haven't needed them yet. Skills. These are project specific instructions files we will build later. Same principle, they load at startup and cost tokens. Messages. So this grows as your conversation gets longer. This is why compact exists. Bigger context isn't free. And let me repeat, guys, big context, don't you think that in big context will give you better results? No. So more tokens means more latency and potentially more cost depending on your plan. Okay, now I want to show you something really cool. Anthropic has actually published an interactive visualization of exactly how this works. Let me open that. This is the official Claude Code documentation page for the context window. And what I love about it is that it has an interactive timeline. You can actually see how the context fills up step by step during a real session. Look at this. Before you even type your first message, the context already has Claude.md loaded, auto memory, MCP tools names, skill descriptions, all of this loads automatically at session start. Subagents use a separate context window. Then as Claude works, every file it reads adds to the context. Every tool it calls adds to the context. The conversation grows. Next, we see we are using a subagent. Subagent has a context window of its own. Important to note here is if you want more context window, meaning more tokens, spawn subagents for your task. Very important. We will cover these concepts later in the series. And at the end, see this slash compact step. It replaces all of that with a structured summary. Most things reload automatically. But notice, skill listings are the one exception. They don't reload after compact. Worth knowing. Now look at your own context output and match it to what the doc timeline is showing. This is exactly what is happening in your session right now. Alrighty, two more features before we get to the main event of today's video. Yes, there is a main event in the video. So first, the verbose flag. Let's start a session from IntelliJ this time. You can do it from terminal as well. Claude dash verbose. Watch what happens when I ask Claude something about a rock paper scissors project. See all that output? Claude is showing you every tool call it makes, every file it reads, every command it runs as it works. In normal mode, all of this happens invisibly in the background. So why is this useful? When Claude does something unexpected, edits the wrong file, makes a wrong assumption, verbose mode shows you exactly what it did and why. It's your debugging tool for Claude itself. Moving to second feature, and this is one surprised a lot of people when I first showed it. Claude Code works as a Unix pipe. Yes, and here is what I mean. Normally you start as Claude session, have a conversation, close it, but sometimes you just want a quick answer about a file without starting a full interactive session. For that, you use the dash pipe flag. So let's do it. Okay, I want to just see the scoring engine. So cat scoring engine.java and then pipe Claude -p. What does this class do? Okay, file not found. Let's search for the exact path. Let me find the file and I want to ask about. Okay, find dot hyphen name scoring dot java. Good. Now I have the exact path. Now watch this. So cat, I put the file full path name, then pipe Claude -p. Again same thing. What does this class do? Woo! Did you see that? Claude answered and immediately returned me to my normal terminal. No session started, no session to close. Just answer and done. Wow. So when would you use this? Quick sessions about a specific file, generating a commit message from a git diff, running Claude in a script or CI/CD pipeline, anywhere you need a fast answer without the overhead of a full session. And when would you not use it? I think why now you already know the answer. So when you want to basically do a lot of work, you want to basically make code changes and blah blah blah, then of course you will not use it. Good. So finally we have arrived to the main event and it is very important concept. Okay, you can generate CLAUDE.md file by yourself by simply hitting /init. And when you do it, it will create a CLAUDE.md file. I think let's open this CLAUDE.md file in your favorite IDE and see what it has. So you can see, okay, so it has got, what all it all got? They have, I think they have created, okay, build commands. Yes, keep these. I think Claude needs to know how to build and test this project. So these are generally useful, which is good. Project structure also you see, which is also necessary whenever you open Claude and wanted to work on your project. Yeah, tech stack also necessary. You see Java 8, Spring Boot 2, blah blah. And wow. But there will be few things which basically are not needed. Okay, when you generate in when you hit /init and then you see the CLAUDE.md file, there will be a lot of junk details. So basically which are too obvious, okay, or you just don't need to put them. And as I told you earlier, CLAUDE.md files use a lot of tokens, okay, because when you start a session, it is loaded first. So don't keep any information which is too obvious or which is not necessary in your CLAUDE.md file. Remove that. As I told you that in our next episode, we will be focusing on CLAUDE.md files. We will be writing our own MD file. We will first generate from init and then we'll modify based on my own requirement or based on what I usually do in day-to-day work. You shouldn't keep more than 200 lines in your CLAUDE.md. Always advise to keep less than 200. Yeah. So let's recap what we covered today. So we learned the outside sessions commands, how to choose your model, continue sessions, keep Claude updated. We went inside the session and covered /help, /status, /memory, /context, /plan, /clear, /compact, /between and /review. So we did a deep dive into context window and learned why keeping your files lean is so important. We covered the current MCP server behavior and why the best practice of disabling unused servers still holds. We learned the verbose flag and the pipe trick. And we, in the end, ran /init to generate your own CLAUDE.md file. Thank you for watching. Keep looking out to this space. We have a lot coming in and don't forget to subscribe this channel. Keep learning. AI is already here.